Simple interest. So if we deposit money into a bank account or we make an investment, we do those things so that we can earn some interest on our deposit or on our investment, and that's how we have an opportunity to earn some money. What's nice about simple interest is there is a simple formula that goes along with it. It's called I equals PRT. Now you already have written down in your notes what that all stands for, but I'll run through it real quick. I is for the simple interest earned. P stands for principal. That's the principal amount. You can think of that as your deposit or your investment. R is the interest rate as a decimal, and T stands for time, and just remember time has to be in years. So for some reason these problems tend to be more challenging for students, but I don't think they need to be. I think they get a little intimidating because we have a formula to follow. We just plug things in and solve. So let's look at our first example. Sam deposited $250 in a savings account, offering an interest rate of 7.5%. If he keeps the money in the account for 5 years, missing the S, how much interest will he earn? So what do we know? He deposited $250. That's your P. That's your principal deposit. So we know that that's $250. The interest rate is 7.5%. We just have to move the decimal over 2 spots. We're going to say 0.075. And then the money stays in the account for 5 years. Well, there's our time. So T equals 5 years. And then you just set up following I equals PRT. We don't know the I, that's what they're asking, the interest, so that stays. The P we just said was 250 times our rate, 0.075, times our time, which is 5. And then you grab a calculator. These are definitely calculator problems. Being very careful, you can multiply those 3 together and you get 93.75. So we are talking dollars and cents. The simple interest that he earned is a dollar amount, so he earned $93.75. So just for putting some money somewhere and letting it sit, that bank gave him some money for his business, basically. They gave him $93.75. Pretty great. He didn't have to work too hard for that. Alright, so that's a straightforward example. They're not all that straightforward, so let's kind of see what this next example is. It says Alice deposited $24,000 in a savings account 3 years ago. She earned $3,600 in simple interest. What was her interest rate on the account? So what do we know? Well, she deposited $24,000. There's her deposit. So P equals 24,000. Put it in the account 3 years ago, so there's your time already in years. So our T is 3. Now here's the tricky part. She earned $3,600 in simple interest. So that $3,600 is her simple interest. That is our I value. So our I is 3,600. What was her interest rate on the account? So the thing we don't know is the R. So we're going to set this up following I equals PRT, and we're going to plug in what we have and solve for what we're missing. So we just said the I was 3,600, so we're just replacing the I with 3,600. The P is 24,000. Now the R, we don't know that, so we'll just keep that as an R, times our time, which is 3 years. So there's our equation. We want to solve this for R. So how do we get that R alone? Anytime that you guys have a variable over here on the right side, it's all multiplication. So what you can do is just multiply together the numbers that you have. 3,600 equals 24,000 times 3 is 72,000. And our R stays there. So that looks a little bit better. Now I think we know where to go from here. We just had to know to multiply the 24,000 times the 3. So how do we get r alone? It's being multiplied by 72,000, so let's divide both sides by 72,000. How does that sound? Alright, so our interest rate is equal to 3,600 divided by 72,000. Now when you do that, you get 0.05. Now the only thing we have to think about is 0.05. Is that how we express interest rates? You know, over here it says the interest rate was 7.5%. So we just have to take our decimal and turn it into a percent. So just move your decimal 2 spots to the right, and that's going to give you 5%. So what was the interest rate? 5%. So stick with your I equals PRT. Make sure, I do think it's helpful if you notice I listed off the information I had for each problem. P equals R equals T equals, and then you just plug them into that formula.